What if I found out it was fake because I had just picked it up from this kid? I knew it was fake, but I thought it'd be a funny bit.
On this channel, I've reported on how Gary Hayes, aka King Pokemon, was audited twice by the IRS, which he lied to get off scot-free. His words, not mine. Then, in July of 2018, King Pokemon sold 16% ownership of his Charizards to a business partner for $81,000. And in 2020, he illegally avoided paying taxes on over $1 million in capital gains that he made from selling Pokemon cards. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, I did a deep dive into the Aoki Foundation and found that they've been misappropriating hundreds of thousands of dollars in charity donations and using the money towards their own personal greed. And if you don't believe me, you can check out the evidence for yourself in a video that should be in a card on your screen and linked in the description below. So, when I saw that Logan Paul purchased the Mealy Pops case from Shine for $3.5 million, I thought I could sit this one out. But once I noticed how Rattle and Gary Hayes were hiding information, I knew something was up. And that's why today we're going to go over the evidence that proves that Michael Goldstein, Gary Hayes, Logan Paul, and Rattle all knew the case was fake. And how Rattle has been lying the entire time to influence people's opinions. Slow bros and ho-ohs, let's get started. So let's start off with the fact that Gary Hayes has been making it a point in his recent videos and interviews to claim that he knew nothing about Logan's case, and that he didn't know anything about it until Rattle's video series.
I think one of the main things I wanted to get across was I've talked to Logan probably 10 times this month. We've gotten together a couple times this month, and we never once mentioned this case. Now, what does that mean? I don't know.
So first thing that I want to mention is that I knew nothing about this case until after Mike's first vid. Mike is Rattle, who happens to also be a friend.
Now we know that this is a lie because Gary Hayes had posted on E4 about Logan's purchase on December 20, 2021, just 5 days before Rattle's first video. And Gary even recently admitted in a video on Instagram that he knew about the case when it was for sale on eBay and that he learned about it from E4.
Okay, Gary, did you know of the box being for sale on eBay when it was originally listed? I guess that was when it was like the $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 thing. If so, were you interested in purchasing it? If not, why? You know, when that was happening, I was just so tied up with so many different things. I just didn't pay much attention to it, to tell you the truth. I hate to admit that, but I didn't pay much attention to it. So, no, I wasn't that aware of it. And maybe I saw it on E4, but I just, wasn't involved in that at all. Okay, how did it feel when Logan Paul tried to buy your most valuable card?
We now know that he was lying about when he became aware of the case and how he became aware of the case. And even though Gary could potentially deny knowing about any of the posts or pictures stating that the case was fake during April of 2021 on E4, and you heard that right, as most of the evidence that we're learning from Rattle was known about during April of 2021 on E4, as multiple people were pointing out discrepancies and calling the case fake all along. And why wasn't it reported on when the case was sold to Shine for $2.7 million? And we know for sure that Gary was fully aware about the discrepancies with this case, as Michael Goldstein, who titles himself Pokey Jew, had consulted with Gary Hayes about the discrepancies with this case, and even asked to compare his unsealed first edition base set case to the fake case. But Gary declined, claiming that it was in his Placerville, California storage unit.
And a lot of people did ask me, like, well, Gary has a case. Why didn't you reach out to him? And I did reach out to Gary, and he said I was told that he wasn't able to get it because it was in his storage unit. So, and I didn't want to bother him beyond that point. It's like, I understand he doesn't really want to be bothered with it. So
now Gary has stated multiple times that he keeps his open base set case in his Placerville, California storage unit.
Do you know Placerville, California?
Yeah.
It's like north of Sacramento.
Yeah.
That's where they are. I have a storage locker, a special security type storage, there that holds all my best collectibles.
And he's also revealed that his residence is in Henderson, Nevada, which would be an 8-hour and 38-minute drive and a small price to pay to save someone $3.5 million, especially when that person calls you dad.
He said, Gary, don't. He said, don't. He calls me dad. He said, don't worry, Dad. We don't have to. He said, don't let this affect you. He said, this is in the long run. This means nothing.
And why is this the first time that Gary Hayes, aka King Pokemon, refusing to help Logan Paul? And what's even more suspicious is that Michael Goldstein and Gary Hayes have lied to the public about their involvement with this fake case. Here's a clip of Michael Goldstein outing himself about his knowledge of the multiple background stories of the fake case.
Other than the sale, I have no idea where those came from.
So your only story that you ever heard was just the estate sale story.
Yeah, and like I knew of a different flavor of the story that, it was essentially the same story. It was just flavored a little differently, the way it was messaged to PSA Pikachu. And
different flavors? What does he think this is? Baskin Robbins? Yeah, I'll have a scoop of chocolate chip mint and a fake first edition base set case. So it's obvious that he lied about knowing the different stories. But the most convincing part of his story is consulting with Gary Hayes, which, as far as I know, this is the only time that he's brought it up, and it was an oh crap moment where he was quick to try and change the subject. And despite Gary being fully aware of Michael's lies and his involvement, Gary has been relentlessly defending him.
One, I think it's absolutely absurd that Michael has absolutely anything, any heat to take on this at all. It's totally ridiculous. My main point yesterday was that you didn't deserve that crap. And so that's why I wanted to, make that a very solid point. Because, yeah. I know you better than any of them. And, it was just, just made me angry.
Number one, I feel every single person that was in that room during that box break had absolutely nothing to do with any scam. Was there some incompetence? Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide. But none of them had anything to do with the scam. That I'm certain of.
And keep in mind that Michael has been involved since the beginning, even before Mealy Pops. And next to Gary Hayes, Michael Goldstein has been Logan Paul's go-to guy for major Pokemon purchases. Plus, if there was anyone that would have noticed any kind of changes in the case between the original seller to Mealy Pops, from Mealy Pops to Shine, from Shine to Logan Paul, it would be Michael Goldstein. And to speed all of this up, we know that Gary Hayes and Michael Goldstein have been friends for years. We know that they've both been involved with selling multiple high-dollar vintage items to Logan Paul. We know that the two will virtually do anything, and I mean anything, to get a taste of that Logan Paul clout. And that Logan Paul has a history of doing over-the-top and overly dramatic stunts involving high-dollar vintage Pokemon cards that are fake. Who all remembers the stunt that he did with the resealed first edition base set booster box that was filled with foam?
Evan, I sold the packs to other people, bro. This isn't my property anymore.
I am so sorry to everyone who bought a pack. Hopefully they're in okay shape.
Come on, guys!
And have I ever told you that Gary Hayes likes to sell empty, sealed first edition base set booster boxes?
Okay, these of course would be a lot more expensive. These, go from like $300 to $800, something like that, for this style. But that's the way I do it.
What about the stunt he did with the fake Pikachu Illustrator card?
You looked at a perfectly good glass and punched right through it.
Bro, I was trying to be funny. I take it to the next level for content, and I was like, how funny would it be if I found out this Pikachu Illustrator, by the way, the most expensive card in the world, $2 million on eBay, one's listed for it right now. What if I found out it was fake because I had just picked it up from this kid? I knew it was fake, but I thought it'd be a funny bit. So, I peeled it in half. It was like a Post-it sticker, and then I went to go punch this window Okay. And here's the problem, because I actually talked to my dad about this.
And now you have this fake case. Each stunt gets more and more over the top, more expensive, more dramatic. This is what he's known for doing. This is how he keeps people talking about him.
You know, I take it to the next level for content.
And coincidentally, it's always right before a big event or a product that he's getting ready to push, right? Right before a big fight, before a box break, before a crypto scam, before an NFT scam. And now it's this new drink. And it doesn't take what is essentially a fake investigation, which we'll get to in a couple minutes, in order to determine that this whole thing was a stunt to push this drink. All you have to do is watch the video. The video opens up with Logan Paul saying, "Hey, I just lost $3.5 million. Please go out and buy my drink," which is a pretty dead giveaway that they recorded this after they opened up the case. But then, a minute and 22 seconds into the video, Logan states that he's going to get his money back if the case is fake.
And I could trust that he'd refund me if things went wrong.
And even in the video description, it states drink Prime so I can get my $3.5 million back. But it's more than a coincidence that the ad is placed in the beginning of the video. It's placed where people are less likely to click off. And he's been doing this for years. He knows how to create controversial situations to get people to talk about him.
I think this definitely marks a moment in YouTube history because I'm pretty sure this has never happened to anyone.
Dude, you gotta appreciate how psychotic that statement is.
And here's the thing, he's not the only one profiting from this stunt, as BBCE handles all of the Pokemon pack grading for PSA. And Gary Hayes has been trying to get back at PSA for quite some time now. And if you're asking why, well, it's because after PSA got caught grading trim cards, they had to toughen their grades, which cut into Gary's profit margins from the cards that he sells, because he was no longer being handed 10s. Gary got so mad that he sold his share of Collectors Universe, the company that owns PSA, and then he co-founded an AI-based grading company called AGS RoboGrading that has been a scam from the very beginning. And I've covered this company in depth in the video listed below. But Gary claims that this company can't be biased like PSA and BGS, despite their AI requiring humans to enter parameters and requires humans to establish a baseline as to what is a 1 through a 10. And despite Gary's face being plastered all over their marketing material listing him as the co-founder, a Yahoo Finance article listing him as the co-founder, and even members of the company claiming that he is the co-founder, Gary Hayes started denying his position with this company after I called him and them out for an NFT scam where they were going to steal the proceeds from a charity event and put it in his daughter's trust fund account.
Do you have time for this? Yeah. Okay. You know, hopefully that would be successful enough where I could make a few bucks and put it into a trust for his little sister, for Akara.
And after being called out by myself and others for his charity scams, manipulating market prices of collectibles, lying about his involvement with companies that he promotes using his YouTube channel and Instagram, along with a laundry list of other issues, including how he uses racism to justify tax evasion. And that's when Gary Hayes uses the help of Pokemon Classics and Rattle Pokemon to discredit and or attack anyone that questions him and gaslight everyone else. Now, before we begin, please note that Rattle took payment from Logan Paul.
That I said, it's not money. I just like to send you some product, like as a little gesture, and so we're gonna send him some Prime. We finally got him to break.
He previously acquired a large portion of his first edition basic collection from Gary Hayes.
Important to note that I also got a lot of my first edition base from Gary when I first started.
Gary Hayes also purchased a $5,000 microscope from Rattle, who also goes by Rattle Bear. So Gary Bear bought a $5,000 microscope from Rattle Bear, which by day, Michael Barristo, aka Rattle Bear, aka Rattle, is an independent laboratory equipment salesman. So in addition to receiving extremely rare and valuable cards from Gary Hayes, he's also being financially supported by Gary Hayes. Also, Gary Hayes helped his channel blow up right before Logan Paul purchased the case.
And I'm glad it's helping the channel.
100%.
I mean, you totally deserve it. And I mean, I felt that for a long time. You know, I did some things with you hoping that it would help the channel. And this is certainly, you know, helping it.
And that the case was called out as being fake back in April of 2021 on e4.proboards.com, which Rattle was contributing quite a bit towards during that time. Finally, Gary Hayes refers to Rattle as his boy and the fake expert. And this is due to Rattle's involvement with comparing real Pokemon cards to fake Pokemon cards and examining the differences between them. So, if anybody knew about the post on E4 during that time about the fake first edition case, including the eBay listings, the messages between the seller, and everybody else's speculation pointing out various details, it would be Rattle. So let's take a look at how Rattle uses lies and speculation to help himself and Gary Hayes.
I've heard stories of people knowing about the case beforehand, but I don't have anything to back that up. Now, I can't confirm a lot of the details, but what I've been told, this is just something that I heard. I heard something about maybe there were some rail cars that were broken into and or stolen from. Maybe that. I don't have any proof of that.
So if you don't have proof of it, then why are you even mentioning it? Also, this makes you a hypocrite because you previously attacked Frosted Caribou for using someone else's word.
Now, into the second part here where someone hears from store owners that people are beating each other up just to get cards. So you're not like, how do you even use this as an over-exaggeration? Like, some store owner told you that something, like, this is a story from somebody else that you're hearing from someone else.
But let me guess, you and Gary Hayes are going to say that it's okay because it helps his bottom line.
And if you remember, our boy here, Jose, was from the Chicago area. So probably distributor stolen items. Or like I said, maybe the rail cars that people were bringing up.
You mean the rail cars that you didn't have proof of?
I don't have any proof of that.
So now you're attempting to layer rumors and treat them as facts. You're lying.
This isn't very public. I had to do some digging even to bring this up. This is the original auction.
What's he talking about not very public? It's a Wayback Machine link. It's available to anybody. And then on top of it, it's on the third page of the thread that Gary started. The one that he got all of his information from for the quote-unquote investigation. This is literally how much work it takes in order to find it. You have to scroll through 3 pages. There it is. Look, click on it. Boom. Found it. Oh, is that it? That's it. Good job. But let's go over how Gary Hayes uses rumor Pokemon to bully and harass anyone that questions him.
That the charity isn't real or anything else. He does care about the cause, and so does his wife.
By care, you mean steal and misappropriate hundreds of thousands of dollars in charity donations, right? But please, continue.
At Frosted Caribou, who does nothing but take from the hobby, we have Help Boo Get Back on YouTube. So here she goes on about how she doesn't have a job. She recently lost her job and doesn't want to make a GoFundMe, but made a GoFundMe to fund a new computer instead of getting a job and buying it herself. I don't know.
So he's shaming her for losing her job and asking her community for help as a way to justify Gary's actions.
I don't know. That's that might be the opposite of doing charity work within the Pokemon community. You let me know in the comments below.
So Rattle thinks it's okay that Gary Hayes lied about charity donations to stuff his daughter's trust fund account and the pockets of his friends and family. And somehow Rattle thinks that's good for the Pokemon community?
I don't know. And then at the same time, she'll post about how she's buying stuff that she doesn't necessarily need. Adopting fish online. I don't know if that was expensive or not. I have no desire to adopt fish online. And then buying countless plushies and everything else.
So if Michael Barristo would have done his due diligence and checked the date that the GoFundMe was created versus the date of her purchases, he would have known that the purchases were made when she had a job. But Michael Barristo didn't do that because Michael Barristo didn't care. Why? Because Gare Bear was calling in a favor.
Her boyfriend was working. I guess her boyfriend didn't want to buy her a computer. Didn't think that it was a good investment.
So let me get this straight. You're judging both of them now because they don't have the money in the bank to go out and buy whatever PC that they need after one of them loses their job?
Because her boyfriend didn't want to buy her a computer. Didn't think that it was a good investment in terms of making this her career path. So then we got more fan mail. Hey guys, send me stuff.
So Rattle Pokemon is judging Frosty Caribou for having mail days, claiming that she's taking from the hobby. Yet he's doing the same thing.
There we got it. Everything's sexist. Every sexist comment I get on YouTube only adds +5 cuteness to my future outfits. The sexist comments, if we're gonna be honest here, you might be attracting an audience that's going to say a lot of that stuff. You're gonna have some little boys that want to see thighs and legs and feet.
So Rattle's attempting to justify harassment because she's wearing shorts. He goes as far as claiming that she's attracting it.
And even if this is not as extreme as what's been going on Twitch, it's still pretty much the same thing. Like when you're taking butt shots, if you think you're not attracting like little boys and incels that want to look at that stuff, for whatever reason, it has to be in the...
She's wearing jeans and a t-shirt while showing off a backpack. And somehow Rattle has a problem with that? No one deserves to be harassed because of what they wear. Nor is it ever okay to harass somebody because of what they wear. But Michael Barristo thinks differently. He thinks that you should be harassed if you show your thighs, legs, or feet. Well, what about this guy? Does he deserve to be harassed, Rattle? According to Rattle, this man is sexualizing Snorlax. Poor Snorlax. Or what about this lady, Rattle? Does she deserve to be harassed or attacked? According to your logic, you believe so. This lady's showing her neckline and feet, and she's laying on top of a Snorlax. You know Rattle's gonna harass her. But Gary loves Rattle's videos. In fact, the day after he posted that video, Gary stated that he wishes he was as smart as Rattle. And why, you ask? Well, it's because he's been attacking Frosty Caribou for quite some time. Which all started because Gary Hayes didn't appreciate a video that Frosty Caribou made highlighting the culture surrounding Pokemon TCG and how content creators influence that culture. Which he then goes on to try and use as a justification for him attacking her mental health, making inappropriate comments about her body, and even making threats. And this isn't the first time, as Gary Hayes has a clear history of harassing, threatening, and wanting to get physically violent with anyone that questions flipping, scalping, or inflating prices. And this is why he's afraid to be called out. And he knows that he can no longer get away with things like he used to. Which is why Gary Hayes now uses other people that do his dirty work for him. Oh, and I almost forgot. Gary Hayes has been going out of his way to claim that Rattle hasn't taken a payment.
He's been trying to get Rattle's address, his home address, out of me and out of Rattle. For what you can imagine. He wanted to find some way to not payment. Even Logan told me this is not payment. To this minute, he has not given an address to Logan to get anything out of this.
Prime or the money?
That I said, it's not money. I just like to send you some product, like as a little gesture, and so we're gonna send him some Prime. We finally got him to break.
And Gary's also claiming that all of the details about this case came from Rattle and nobody else, which we know is untrue, as most of the details were known back in April of 2021.
1,000 videos, people talking about everything that Rattle investigated. Nobody else, just Rattle. Articles on Yahoo and PokeBeach and all these others did absolutely zero detective work. None. It was all Rattle. This started with Rattle, it ended with Rattle, and Rattle deserves all the credit.
I've heard stories of people knowing about the case beforehand, but I don't have anything to back that up.
But let's go ahead and wrap this up. We know that Logan Paul has planned numerous stunts to keep people talking about him or to advertise a product or event. Logan Paul has admitted that he keeps trying to raise the bar. Logan Paul and Gary Hayes use these events and collaborations to pump the price of Pokemon cards.
Today, that collection is worth $5 million.
What are those cards worth today? That's probably about $10 million.
A little box of cardboard.
This is great.
With $1.3 million in the hole, I still had yet to complete the biggest transaction of my life.
2 boxes, $675, it's done.
Gotcha. All right.
All right, let's lock it. Yeah, let's do it.
Next level for content. And I was like, how funny would it be if I found out this Pikachu Illustrator, by the way, the most expensive card in the world, $2 million on eBay, one's listed for right now. Although I bought one in September for $200K, they were only now selling for the price point that I set, between $300,000 and $400,000.
And it's now worldwide news that someone is willing to pay $3.5 million for a case. And then there's this.
If I had $3.5 million, I would not buy it without looking inside. So it would have more value to me opened than it does like it is.
Got it.
So yeah, in my opinion, you don't lose nothing. You don't lose nothing by opening it, and maybe even gain a little.
I personally think it'll add a premium after the fact. Like, hey, this is real. Like the single most authentic case, like known to the world, you know, recorded and everything.
Remember, it's in Gary's financial interest to embarrass and ruin PSA. And with Rattle in their pocket, Gary and Logan can use Rattle to seed false information.
I've even been criticized a little bit for, oh, well, you thought it was this at first, but now you're saying this and this and this is wrong?
Gary Hayes, Michael Goldstein, Logan Paul, and Shine are friends. And Gary Hayes has been aware of when Logan is doing a stunt. And I'm not saying that any one of them created the case, but just like the fake Pikachu Illustrator card, Logan Paul knew what he was getting himself into.
I've heard stories of people knowing about the case beforehand, but I don't have anything to back that up. Now, I can't confirm a lot of the details, but what I've been told, this is just something that I heard. I heard something about maybe there were some rail cars that were broken into and or stolen from. Maybe that. I don't have any proof of that.